Today my talk is based mainly on books and journal articles that I come across. This is the article that I'll be basing most of my talk on. It's called Han and Xiongnu, a re-examination of cultural and political relations 1. So the paper itself is also divided into part 1 and part 2. A coincidence that it reflects the nature of my talk as well, part 1 and part 2. Okay. The author is Sophia Karin Saras. So I'll be mentioning about Saras many times during the talk to reference back to what she had concluded. Okay. This talk will be mostly based on what I've researched on, and I would maybe once in a while add in a bit of my own opinion and my own conclusion, but mostly it's based on their research. Okay. For today, the content, we are going to start at a very introductory way. So for those who are new to China history, I would also want to give you the background of the Han dynasty. Who are the Xiongnu people? Why is there conflict between these two civilizations? And what happened after that? What was the conclusion at the end of the day? There was a series of major battles that broke out during the rule of an emperor called Han Wudi. So this is a full-scale war. We refer to it as the Sino-Xiongnu War. We're going to talk about that war, and we are going to evaluate the outcome of this war. For those who are new to China history, this is a very brief timeline of the chronological order. Back in the very early ancient days, we have the so-called Xia dynasty, and then it goes on with the Shang, Zhou, and the Qin dynasty, which is I believe we are quite familiar with Qin Shi Huang. After that, we have the former Han dynasty, which is what we are looking at today. How was the Han Empire established? The dynasty preceding Han dynasty is the Qin dynasty. In traditional history, it was well expressed that the rule of the Qin dynasty was an oppressive, hardline one. The regulations and policies were tough on the people. People suffered under the rule, and at the end of the day, there were a number of rebellions that took place. One of the leaders of the rebellion is Liu Bang. Liu Bang emerged as the victor against the other contending warlords, and he established the Han dynasty. It's quite interesting to find out about Liu Bang's background. Among the other warlords, his was a humble background. He wasn't a person born from the royal family, but he was from a peasant family, so he was somebody from a common background. So it's quite intriguing to know that someone of such lowly birth origins managed to unify China and establish a new empire. That was how the Han dynasty started. For Han dynasty, it can be divided into 3 periods, but we are not going to go into that very detailed, just a very brief one, so that you have a better understanding. Because in my talk, the part 2 talk, I'm relating more of the later Han dynasty, but today is more on the former Han dynasty. Basically, these two, the rule is ruled by a ruler with the surname of Liu. So the same family, but in between, one particular person managed to usurp the throne and set up a new period, but it's very brief, very short. It's known as the Xin dynasty. But it's too short to really conclude much from it. Basically, usually the interpretation of this period is quite negative. People tend to see that the ruler as a usurper, not the legitimate ruler. So it's usually discounted away. Traditional historians don't really put this period in positive light. Okay, there's more focus on these two, the former Han and the later Han dynasty. Today we are focusing more on former Han. What's the difference between former and later? Later I will talk about that. Yes, okay, this is the map. So the main difference between these two periods is the shift of the capital. Former Han is also referred to as the Western Han because the capital is located more to the west, right here. And this is our present day Xi'an. Okay? And for the later Han dynasty, the so-called Eastern Han period, the capital is established here, which is Luoyang. Okay? During those days, the Central Plains, this area was the economic heartland of China's civilization. So most of the activity and the development takes place here, and that is why the capital were located right here. But during the later part of history, those of you who know about the Song dynasty, and later on the focus became north and south. So this is one of the changes that we observe along the course of China's history. But in the early parts, the focus is between west and east, but later on it became north and south. That's additional info. Okay. And if you are curious how far apart these two places are, it's about 380 kilometers. If you want to take a high-speed train, it's about 1.5 hours to travel between these two places. Okay, so imagine back then, if you travel by horse carriage, how long it would be. So much about the introduction of the Han Empire. Now we'll talk about the Xiongnu Empire, the key highlight for today. So an estimate of the influence of the area of the Xiongnu Empire, generally speaking, it's the area of Mongolia. Okay, modern, present-day Mongolia. This area, you can see its proximity, how close it is to the China Central Plain. The Xiongnu occupy the area that is the north of China, and this is their area of influence. And they also extend their influence to Central Asia as well. This is Central Asia area. Okay. This is where your estimate, a rough estimate, where your Uzbekistan is that area, and a bit of Xinjiang as well. Okay, so this is the other area of influence. And this is how TV dramas portray Xiongnu people as. And we have no idea how Xiongnu people would look like, but this is just an imagination. Okay, usually the nomadic tribes of the north were seen as barbaric people who are rough, culture-wise inferior. They don't have their writing system, so it puts them in a disadvantaged position. Unfortunately, we have no idea how the Xiongnu history truly is today, because the Xiongnu, they don't have a writing system. They did not left any written records behind. So what we know about the Xiongnu is from the Chinese people. The Chinese wrote extensively about them, but it is always about the Xiongnu wars, so nothing positive. So you can roughly you can know the sense of how the Chinese people would tend to portray the Xiongnu people as. Okay. Culture-wise, clothing-wise is very different, as you can see here. Now, when did the Xiongnu Empire started to threaten You see, for a very long time, even during very early times, there had already been wars and battles fought between the northern part of China and the China Central Plain itself. But then, those were small-scale battles, and the tribes were smaller in size. So the conflict is there, but the threat was not really there until a figure here, okay, who is known as the Modun Canyu. Canyu is basically the title as like a ruler and emperor for the Xiongnu Empire. So Modun Canyu is one capable ruler who managed to bring all the tribes under his control. Now the Xiongnu is not a civilization where it's a homogeneous group of people. It's not that case. It is more of the fact that one particular group, which was very strong, the Xiongnu group itself, was so powerful and strong in its military strength that all the other tribes in that area, residing around the area, submit to them. Okay, and work together when it comes to military campaign, and that is what the Xiongnu Empire is about. It's a confederacy of different tribes. So that is one point to think of. It's not a group of people who are all of the same tribe. No, they are not. Okay, but the Xiongnu is just one particular tribe that's powerful enough to rule over the rest of the tribes, and they submit to them. And that is what the Xiongnu Confederacy is about. Okay, and the Xiongnu Confederacy was advanced at that point of time compared to earlier groups. Why? Because of the political organization. According to the Han records, we could see some very distinctive and very well organized structure. When it comes to the polity structure, the political structure, you can see a dual role kind of structure. So you have a left and a right. Okay, you will have a left king and a right king, for example. Okay, and this kind of structure, actually, you would see that also in the Han Empire. You have a left prime minister and a right prime minister. So by exhibiting such signs, you could see that the Xiongnu Empire is quite organized compared to the earlier times. Okay, and with this organization, the Xiongnu Empire became stronger, and military-wise, it began to threaten China. That is the rise of Xiongnu. And what about the origins? Where do these people come from? As I've mentioned, the Xiongnu people did not leave any written records of their own, so all we know is from the Han records. And the Han records do not tend to put them in positive light, and there are some mythical origins which is very strange. So let me share with you. For example, in the Wei Shu, that means the record of Wei, there's a passage that talks about how the Xiongnu people came about. So basically the story is that there was a ruler who had two daughters, very beautiful, and the ruler felt that, oh, my daughters are so beautiful and they should only find somebody who is worthy of them. So no mere mortal should be allowed so easily to be my daughter. There should be some tests. We should see whether this person is up to it. So he built a platform and put the daughters up there. Okay, and he said, oh, I beseech heaven to receive them. Okay, let me add on. Okay, he believed that his daughters were so perfect that humans are not well deserved. Mere mortals do not deserve the daughters, so they should only be paired with godly beings, heaven. Then, at this time, and Wolf came to the platform. Okay, and he was there writing there, and the younger daughter said, oh, we are put here because we could be with the heaven, but today a wolf came, so this wolf must be a sign from heaven. Maybe heaven took the form of wolf and came here to look for me, so I'm gonna marry the wolf. So the elder sister said, "What? This is an animal. How can you marry a wolf? Do not disgrace our parents." But the younger sister did not listen, and she became the wolf's wife. And then they get married. They have more children, and the village became bigger. And they like to sing lengthy songs that imitate wolf house. So that this explains why the Xiongnu people like to sing like how wolves sing. Very degrading, right? Okay, but from the myth, we can see two things. One, the myth is very interesting because the myth is a way to explain customs. Like, why do the Xiongnu like to sing like wolf house? Maybe it's because their origins have to do with wolf, and we also see the religious beliefs of the Xiongnu where they pray and worship to the sky, the heaven. This is a not so nice myth, but there's another nice myth. Okay, I'll just skip this. Yeah, this is a nicer myth. Okay, so this myth says that the ancestor of Xiongnu have to do with Chinese origin or more dignity now. The ancestor of Xiongnu, called Chun Wei, was descended from the Lord of Xia. Remember the dynasty? I had the Xia dynasty earlier. From the time of Tang and Yu, they were called the mountain Rong, Xian Yun or Xun Zuo. They live among the northern Man and move around herding their animals. So now this is a nicer ancestry to relate to the Xiongnu, saying that one of their ancestors is the great, is related to the great Yu, Xia Yu. Okay, now who is Yu? Yu is said to be a legendary ruler, part of the 3 Sovereigns and 5 Emperors, and he was said to be a very wise ruler. And Yu has a very interesting background. Okay, some people commented that he's not really Chinese. Or is that so? Because of the area where he and his people resided was very close to the borders. Okay, and there was some saying also that Yu was not born in Chinese plain, not a native Chinese, but probably a non-Chinese nomadic tribe. Okay, and this became a very powerful tool later on. Why? Because to integrate 2 different populations, 2 different people together, people have been trying to find ways to explain or convince that, oh, you should integrate with me because whatsoever. So one good theory they resort to is origins. And later on, in the later part of after the Han Dynasty, there's this period where there were a lot of nomadic tribes, non-Chinese tribes who invaded China, the northern part of China, and they resort to this. So they would say that, oh, my ancestor is actually Xia Yu, so I'm linked to you long time ago, and we are one big family actually, so why do you want to resist me? We are the same. And so this origin myth is well used as a political tool. It's a well used political tool when it comes to invasion campaigns. Especially those launched by the non-Chinese, they use this as a tool to convince the Chinese that let's not fight, let's be together, let's integrate as one, since we have the common ancestor. Okay. So much about the myths. These are just myths, so I'm pretty sure that if you go and study the DNA of Xiongnu, I don't think you can find any wolf-related genes. That is just a myth. Okay, but let's come back to the fact, who are they really? Unfortunately, we don't really know. We don't have much records about them. Okay, but we do know that they were mentioned more during the Han Dynasty. That's the period of time that they became more powerful. And probably maybe they were first established quite early, maybe during the 8th or the 7th century, but they came into notice for Chinese history during the Han Dynasty period. And what is unique about the lifestyle of the Xiongnu people, the Xiongnu means of economics is very different. The Chinese civilization is an agrarian society. That means that the people grow plants. That's the main source of income, main source of economic activities. Okay, but for the Xiongnu people, no, they lead a more pastoral, nomadic kind of lifestyle. They roam around different areas. They keep livestock, so livestock, animals, are their main source of economic means. And because of that, their lifestyle is more unstable to the Chinese in comparison. Now the good thing about the agrarian society when it comes to agricultural produce is they can keep them for a very long time. Your rice after you harvest, or your wheat after you harvest, you can keep them in your greenery and you can store them and use them after much later. But livestock, animal stock, you can't keep them for long. They will decay, they will spoil after some time. So because of that, because of their unstable lifestyle, they often have to resort to raiding. So they will look at the Chinese civilization with envy eyes and say, oh, you all got so much rice, today we have no food, so I'm going to come over and rob you and take some food from you and bring it back. That's how they live their life. That's the livelihood of the Xiongnu. But not to say that they don't grow plants, but they do. Okay, they do, but the scale is smaller in comparison because generally speaking, the Mongolian plains are not very suitable for large-scale agriculture. The Chinese plain, they have the advantage. And interestingly, if you look at the history of the ancient world, most of it is about this. Most of the ancient history, even for Rome, is about the war between our agrarian society and the nomadic society. That's the pattern in history. Okay. So the Xiongnu, they don't grow things very stably, not in a very stable way. So they have to often resort to robbing and raiding from their neighbors. They don't just rob from China, they also rob as well from the western regions, which is the Xinjiang area. So the Xinjiang area and the Central Asia will submit to the Xiongnu because of their military force. So because of this lifestyle, right, the ruler of the Xiongnu, they often have to conduct raiding. Why? Because that's their other main source of income. So if the Xiongnu king decides not to rob, he will lose the trust and support of his people. The Xiongnu political style is usually like this. We have a very powerful ruler, and he leads and unifies the various tribes, and he brings them to raiding operations. So once the raiding operations completed, he will share the loot with his commanders and his followers, and that's how he earned the trust and respect. So if a Xiongnu ruler one day says, I have enough of raiding, I shall not raid anymore, he will lose trust very quickly. Okay. So it's actually part of their civilization. So it's quite impossible to establish peace with the Xiongnu, mainly because of their economic system. And how does Mo Dun came into power? He was sent as a hostage when in his early days, and he was unhappy about the arrangement. His father was about to name another successor to the throne, so he escaped from the tribe, murdered his father, and took over the throne. Okay, and you can see quite an organized polity structure in terms of the fact that there are census being done to keep track of how much stock they have left, and there's also an establishment of some kind of government Okay, very simple government, not in comparison to the Chinese government. The Chinese don't view the Xiongnu very favorably. They often like to describe the Xiongnu as opposites. For example, oh, we Chinese eat greens, but the Xiongnu's they eat meat and drink milk. Okay, the Xiongnu wore skins and furs, but we wear silk. Okay, and we have towns and cities, but Xiongnu had none. The nomads, the Xiongnu's were like flying birds or running beasts that moved constantly until they found grass and water, but the Chinese were rooted in fields, in towns, and in general, in comparison to the Chinese, they are uncivilized, crude, treacherous, full of tricks up their sleeves. You can never trust the Xiongnu. And because of that, me as the Chinese ruler, I have been well educated in the Confucian rites. My mission is to come to your land and give you Confucian education so you become educated people. That's how the Chinese would view the Xiongnu's. And what about the philosophical ideals towards the Xiongnu, the barbarians? Well, yes, they may born to be uncivilized, crude, but if they embrace the Chinese culture, they can become educated and they will be seen as one of us. Also, this is quite a powerful tool because in terms of ideological wise, it's a way the Chinese use to merge and integrate the non-Chinese people as part of their family. Chinese civilization had always resorted to these means where they created a very ideal and very optimistic ideology of Confucianism, where they believed that all the rest who are not educated in Confucian rites would be so amazed and so impressed by the Confucian culture that they will come forward and get themselves educated and become refined. So in that process, they become Chinese. The He policy, that's what we will deal with next. The He policy is a big thing during the early Han Dynasty. And what is it about? In English, you can see it to be meaning to say a kind of marriage alliance. And this did not start off only during the Han Dynasty. It was already used earlier on during the warring states, that means the Zhou period. And it's used as a kind of alliance. So the king has a daughter, or the king has a royal family who has a pretty daughter. He marries off the daughter to another state. So now, my state and your state, we have marriage ties. We are one family now. We help each other. And that is what marriage alliance is about. Nothing humiliating about it. It has been used for a long, long time. Even after the Han Dynasty, during the Tang Dynasty, the Qing Dynasty, they have been using this as well to build relationships with the non-Chinese tribes. Okay? And usually, other than marriage, it also involves exchange of gift. And in a worst case scenario, sometimes even the official of the original state have to go forward to that state and serve there. Okay, those are some instances that would take place during the warring states. And how did the He came about during the Han Dynasty? In traditional history, it was said that one day Han Gaozu personally led a military campaign, okay, to the northern area, and then he fought battles with the Xiongnu. He had a number of victories. He was confident, and he was lured into a trap where he left his main troops. He went ahead first into this castle, and then he encamped himself there. Then after that, the Xiongnu encircled the city and cut off supplies, and Han Gaozu was in great peril. It was said that he could almost die from that siege. Then legend has it that one of his counselors suggested that, hey, I heard that the wife of the Xiongnu is a very jealous woman. Why not we send a very beautiful woman over and marry off to the Xiongnu? Then when the wife of the Xiongnu heard about this because of her jealousy, she would ask the Xiongnu to retreat. That was the legend. Okay, then the plot was executed. They said, oh, let's have some appeasement. I married off a beautiful woman over to the Xiongnu Tanyu. So when the wife heard about this, she was afraid that her own position would be threatened, that the Xiongnu would like the new concubine instead. So she convinced the Xiongnu to retreat. And they retreated. That was the legend. Okay, and how did I come back in? Yes, so after that, Han Gaozu was very traumatized by the fact that he was almost killed in the campaign. So he said, he told himself, oh no, I don't think I want to fight another war with the Xiongnu. I should think of something else. And in this moment, Counselor Liu Jing advocated the He strategy. And what is that about? I will come into this. I think I have covered this. Yes, okay. So this is what Liu Jing suggested. The empire has just stabilized, referring to the Han. Our soldiers are very tired. Our military force has not conquered the Xiongnu. Mo Dun has great power. We have not been able to convince him of our benevolence or of our virtue. So all we can do is to prepare a long-term strategy so that the sons and grandsons of Mo Dun will be our subjects. How do we do that? We marry a high-ranking princess to the Tanyu and grant him generous gifts. When he learns that the Han are giving him a wife and such rich gifts, the barbarian will want to make the princess his principal wife. She will give birth to a son who will of course be the heir apparent. He will succeed the Tanyu, and in common sense and logic, what grandson would dare to behave unfilially towards his grandfather? A very ideal situation brought forward by Liu Jing. For this reason, the confrontation of Han and Xiongnu troops at Pingcheng, Gaozu was afraid of Mo Dun. So he therefore sent Liu Jing to present a princess from the imperial family as wife. So not necessarily the emperor's true daughter, can be somebody within the imperial family. From the imperial family as wife to the Tanyu, and each year he gave the Xiongnu a specific quantity of silk, floors, woven silk, alcohol, and food. And the two of them swore to treat each other like brothers and live in peace. That is what He is about. So in tradition history, is basically it's saying that all the Xiongnu are so powerful, we should not fight with them. Let's find another way. Let's give them women and nice things so they don't fight us. So this is what it is about. And this is further endorsed by later emperors, and it's also recognized. That does not mean that the He policy stopped after Gaozu passed away. It was still continued. Emperor Wen is a later emperor. He wrote that I and the Tanyu are parents of the people. Problems that emerge in the past from the misdeeds of our subordinates should not ruin our brotherly happiness. So now the Han Emperor and the Xiongnu Tanyu are brothers. It's a kind of a position that they enjoy. But the traditional Chinese people are very unhappy about this He policy. It has been brought up again and again and again that it is very humiliating for the Chinese to submit to the Xiongnu. They had to resort to sacrifice their women for their peace. But I let me share a personal experience of mine. I work in the library. I came across some books. I came across a comic book about the Han dynasty. So there was one story related to this. In the story, the Wudi, we are going to talk about him later, he's one of the famous emperor in Han dynasty. So Han Wudi was very young, and he heard his elder sister crying. So he asked, "Oh, why are you crying?" And she said, she said, our mother has decided to marry me off to the Xiongnu. I'm so sad. I'll be away from home. I have to adopt to new customs, and the Xiongnu are very rude and uncivilized people. How am I supposed to live my life like that with these people? And she cried and she cried and she wanted to go, but the servants grabbed her, forcefully put her in the carriage, and the carriage ran away, and she's still crying, sobbing, "Oh brother, help me," to Wudi. Then Wudi was very angry, then he went home and he banged the table and he said, "How can I sacrifice my sister for the peace of the country? How humiliating is this?" Yes, and I was affected by the passage. So the author of this book has done his job well. I also feel very angry. How can the Han people do this? No, we must fight the Xiongnu. No way should we suffer such humiliation again. So you can, from there you can know what is the rough sense of how the Chinese view the Heqin policy between the Chinese and the Xiongnu. It was seen as very degrading move, that the Chinese are more powerful than Xiongnu. Why should we do these things to humiliate ourselves? Okay, and they were also very embarrassed by the fact that the military force was so weak in the beginning that they could not handle the Xiongnu. So that's why during Wudi's time, he launched a lot of aggressive battles against the Xiongnu. So the pretext of making the Heqin as an embarrassing appeasement policy makes it a very good political tool to justify the wars against the Xiongnu. But is that the case? Is the Heqin really a humiliating move by the Chinese? Not so. Okay, according to Saras, that is the author of the article, she felt that if you inspect closely, why the Chinese want to say the Heqin is a humiliating appeasement move, because they want to use that as an excuse to fight the Xiongnu. But in reality, it's not the case. Actually, the Heqin policy is a good thing for the people of them. And it seems like they're quite happy with the arrangement. Why is that so? Because the Chinese were fighting among themselves at that time, and they needed to stop expensive wars. So it's good that they use some wealth to bribe off, so-called bribe off the Xiongnu, and use princesses to marry off to the Xiongnu and appease them. There's nothing humiliating about it, because if you look at it, even the kingdoms themselves also do that. They actually quite often marry off their daughters to other states to establish good relationships. So what's so bad about that? Okay? And the Heqin is actually an alliance of two equal powers. That's the key word here. Two equal powers. It's not that one is weaker than the other and had to resort to appeasing the other one. That's the key word here. So the Chinese and the Xiongnu actually view themselves as equal. We are equal in power. Okay? And they also agree that in a statement, I remember one of the emperors declared that we are both the rulers of the world. You rule the north part and I rule China. Okay, so it's already settled in agreement. Okay, let's just split the empire. You rule your part, I rule my part. We don't disturb each other. Okay, and it's not really the fact that the Xiongnu took so much from the Han government that the Xiongnu was actually exploiting the Han, but both sides had things to gain from this arrangement. What do I mean by that? Should be elaborated here. Most traditional historians neglect to mention this part, that this was also an important consideration to conclude the Heqin Treaty, which was to say that in the agreement it was said that if any of my people, I'm referring to the Han government, if any of my generals want to rebel and they ask you for help, you cannot help them. That's the condition, and the Xiongnu agreed. So later on, when there were rebellions, these generals or these warlords didn't receive external support from the Xiongnu, and they were crushed very easily. So the impact of the He Qin was very important in consolidating the Chinese rule, especially the early part of China's history, and they were torn among internal wars. So prior to the He Qin, you had people like this: Han Wudi, Chen Xi, Wu Wan, who seeked Xiongnu help for their rebellion cost. And if you look at the He Qin policy, out of the 67 years, it was only broken 4 times. So it's not so bad after all. Out of the stretch of close to 70 years, it was only broken 4 times, as in that the Xiongnu went back on their words, come and invade, only 4 times. So if you don't have the He Qin, it would have been much more. So it's rather effective in that sense. Okay, 2 small raids, 2 big raids. Why do we have 2 big raids? Because of something I've covered earlier, that the fact that the Xiongnu was built on such a foundation that the Xiongnu ruler had to reward his people from the loot that he got from his raiding. So if that source of income stopped, he would lose the trust and support of his people. So once in a while, he has to lead a major operation into China and do the looting, give it to his people. Okay, and the so-called minor raids to the author of the article, of this article, she felt that it was more of a reminder, like a reminder alert. You raid into China Empire and it's like a wake-up call. Hey, I'm still quite strong, so don't forget to send the princess and my gifts next year. Okay, it's just an alert only. They are not really keen to invade China, take over the capital and find and develop a new empire. No, that's not their objective. You just warn Chinese people. Okay, and they often explain, sorry, you got attacked. Not me, I didn't tell them to attack you. The person didn't listen my order. He go and attack you under his own orders. I'm sorry. That's usually how the Chinese settle this. Okay? Yeah, you wrote a letter. Sorry, my subordinate, don't listen to me. I will whip him, okay? So what does this mean? Actually, it means it's a weakness in the political system. The Xiongnu Empire can never develop a centralized government like the Chinese, where the emperor is very powerful, everybody listen to him. No, because of the geography of Mongolia itself and the restraints, so the tribes usually they are semi-independent units. They can do things without orders from the Chinese. It's too hard to control all of this. So once in a while, the small tribes, they will just go and raid China on their own initiative. That's what's happening. So can you blame the Xiongnu? Not really. I believe he wants to make his people listen to him also, but there's a limitation to how much control he could exercise over his subjects. So that's the difficulty they had. Even the Han government also had problems trying to control his officers at the borders. Sometimes his officers would act without command from the central government. They go and raid the Xiongnu as well. So it's vice versa. It's the same treatment from both sides. So this kind of minor raids and this kind of major raids brought Wen Di to attention, and he discussed, hey, should we continue with the He Qin or not, or should we go and fight the Xiongnu? What do you all think? So this is what some of the officials say. Now, if you are going to fight the Xiongnu and occupy their land, no use, cannot grow anything there. It's marshy and swampy, no use. Might as well continue paying them women and gifts. Better, more cheaper and more economic way of maintaining peace. So they continued. Okay. think I covered already. So even though they are fighting wars, it's not like they hate each other completely. There's still trading ongoing. After all, who don't want to make money? If you see money, you won't make enemies with money. So trading, why trading brings about its economic benefits. The government actually made a legal market system along the borders. So the Xiongnu merchants and the Han Chinese merchants could trade officially at these border markets. Okay, why is this border markets important? Because the gifts given to the Chinese keep for himself and his top followers, not to the common people. So the common people also like to wear silk. The common people want to buy Levi's jeans also. The Xiongnu people not producing Levi's jeans, so they have to buy from the Han Chinese. So the silk is like the Levi's jeans of that time. Okay. So everything is happy, everybody happy, ongoing, trading ongoing until one day Wudi did something very bad. So Wudi resorted to treachery means to trick the Xiongnu, and this is known as the ambush at Mayi. Mayi is a city. What happened was, it was all very well planned. A particular merchant pretended to surrender to the Xiongnu. He went to the Xiongnu and said, "Oh, you can raid this town. I already made arrangements for you. So this town, we will kill the ruler of this castle, this city. Later we just go into the empty city and raid the city." So the Xiongnu believed, and then they led their army, quite a huge army, to go to the Mayi city. Then, at this point of time, the Xiongnu was very alert, very observant. He realized that the ships, I remember the ships were running around the vicinity of the city with nobody tending to it. Then he grew suspicious. How can it be that nobody is tending to these ships? So he managed to catch a soldier. He asked the soldier, what's happening here? Do you know anything? And then the soldier said, "Oh, actually we have planned an ambush. There are soldiers hiding inside the Mayi city. So once you go in, the soldiers will encroach on you and kill you and your followers." So the Xiongnu ruler was very shocked and he retreated. It was a failure. The ambush at Mayi was a failure, and that all hell broke loose. So after that, the Xiongnu and the Han Chinese declared war on each other. And this is the well-known series of wars that took place during the Han Wudi's period. Okay. We're going to go into a break very soon, but let's just evaluate the He policy first. So, most traditional historians sees the He as a failure. You pay so much goods to them, they still fight you. They still raid you once in a while, and it's so expensive. It seems like the Chinese, they are not taking this treaty very seriously. I give you some nice things, but you still whack me behind my back. That's not the way. Okay? Well, to Sarah's, she felt that it's not really the case, because you have to look in terms of the quantitative indicators here. How many times, very scientific, quantitative indicators, how many times the Xiongnu attack you? Okay, and is the cost actually the cost of the He more than if you launch an military operation? So here's her findings. She felt that the He was generally effective, because if you look at the number of internal rebellions, it has lessened. And also, when you look at the rebellions, the Xiongnu never really took part in it. So the He actually helped in stabilizing the empire to control the rebellions from the ambitious generals. And also, generally speaking, the Xiongnu rates to China was reduced, much reduced, only 4. as I mentioned earlier on. And why sometimes the Xiongnu's would come and raid because of the way they organize themselves. Okay, difficulty of the government to control the frontier commanders that were far away from where the Chanyu reside. Okay, and also each of these tribes maintain their own powers, so it's quite impossible for the Chanyu to have full control over them. And the part about the ideal situation where your grandson will become the Chanyu next time, that did not happen. Because the Xiongnu are quite smart. When they take in the Han princesses, they are usually concubines, they are not the principal wives. So their children never really succeeded the throne to be the next Chanyu.